The British royal family is much more than a symbol of power or tradition. It represents one of the oldest and most influential pillars of the West, carrying within its lineage not only the history of Europe but also mysteries that seem to transcend generations. Behind the grand ceremonies, sumptuous palaces, and official speeches lies a structure of power surrounded by secrets that many believe are deeply rooted in occult practices and esoteric alliances. If these practices truly exist, what do they signify for the way royalty exerts its influence? And more importantly, why would anyone who dared to question or expose these mysteries face such extreme consequences? After all, was Diana eliminated precisely for uncovering something the monarchy could never allow to be revealed? The British royal family, like all great European dynasties, carries a heritage that transcends political power and touches the roots of spirituality and esotericism. One of the most intriguing aspects is the ancestral connection to figures historically associated with the occult. A striking example is Vlad the Impaler, known as the inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula. Many are unaware that Prince Charles openly acknowledged his descent from Vlad, which at the very least raises questions about how this connection is viewed within the historical and symbolic context of the royal family. These genealogical connections are not mere curiosities. Aristocratic lineages in medieval Europe often intertwined with hermetic groups and secret societies, such as the Rosicrucian order. These organizations not only sought spiritual knowledge but also directly influenced ruling elites, frequently offering strategic advice based on esoteric practices. The British monarchy was not exempt from this influence, and its heritage is deeply entwined with these traditions. Elizabeth I, for example, was one of the most fascinating monarchs regarding occult mysteries. Her advisor, John Dee, was not only a brilliant mathematician but also a renowned alchemist and occultist. Dee believed he was an intermediary between the physical world and angels, developing what became known as Enochian magic, a complex spiritual system aimed at communicating with divine entities. For the Queen, he was essential, a bridge between the visible world and the invisible forces that seemed to govern the monarchy. But what does this pursuit of hidden wisdom truly mean? Is it merely connected to the quest for spiritual power, or is something deeper at play? The use of mystical advisors like John Dee could indicate a dependence of royalty on forces that transcend human logic. These questions fuel the idea that the monarchy is much more than a political institution. It can be seen as a guardian of spiritual secrets. The connection to occultism is not limited to the modern age. For centuries, England's kings and queens practiced rituals that, at first glance, might seem religious but, upon deeper analysis, reveal traces of esoteric practices. The divine anointing during coronation, for example, carries symbolism rooted in Kabbalah, a Jewish mystical system that explores the interaction between God, humanity, and the universe. Is this merely tradition, or a way to channel spiritual energy? Curiously, the pursuit of power transcending human limits is evident even in the symbols used by royalty. The unicorn and lion in the royal coat of arms, for instance, are not arbitrary choices. They represent alchemical principles, with the unicorn symbolizing spiritual purity and the lion divine strength. These emblems carry meanings resonant with esoteric traditions, where each symbol is a key to understanding universal forces. Additionally, there is the mystery of private practices within royal castles. Historical accounts suggest that certain members of the royalty participated in closed ceremonies, not open to the public or the church, where they explored spiritual questions and practices considered heretical by official religion. What really occurred in these gatherings? Why were these traditions kept secret for so long? These exclusive practices can be seen as a desire for control. After all, understanding and manipulating invisible forces is a way to consolidate power, and few had access to this knowledge. In this context, royalty appeared to be positioned as the guardian of forbidden knowledge, passed down through generations and accessible only to initiates. However, involvement with occultism was not without risks. For centuries, the monarchy had to balance its esoteric beliefs with the religious expectations of the people. In England, where the Church of England played a central role, any deviation from Christian norms could be interpreted as heresy. How, then, did the monarchy manage to maintain alternative spiritual practices without arousing suspicion? The answer may lie in the ability to incorporate occult symbolism into public ceremonies in a way that appeared harmless. Coronations, for example, are filled with elements referencing sacred geometry and alchemy. The use of holy oils, the carved throne, and the Stone of Destiny, a Celtic artifact used in coronations since ancient times, indicate that every detail is carefully designed to channel specific energies. Are these traditions mere symbolism or actual rituals of power? The fact that these elements have been preserved over centuries suggests that the monarchy places great importance on them, far beyond their ceremonial aesthetics. For many scholars, this indicates that the royal family believes in the real power of these practices, not just their public appearance. Another intriguing point is the use of astrology by the royalty. Although rarely discussed openly, there are records indicating that important decisions were made based on astrological alignments. This reinforces the idea that behind the facade of rationality lies a universe of esoteric beliefs that shape the destiny of an entire nation. If the past is so clearly rooted in occult traditions, what about the present? Do these practices still play a central role in the monarchy's decisions? More importantly, how do they influence the public's perception of royalty? These questions remain unanswered, but the evidence points to the continuity of a spiritual legacy that spans centuries. The relationship between the British royal family and Freemasonry is a well-documented but rarely deeply discussed connection. From time immemorial, Freemasonry has been a secret society surrounded by symbolism, rituals, and mysteries that attract figures of power. The monarchy, as the primary symbol of authority in England, could not remain outside this network of influence. This bond goes far beyond simple affiliation. It is a connection that, according to historians, has shaped not only spiritual but also political and social aspects of the country. One of the clearest examples of this relationship is the figure of the Duke of Kent, a cousin of Queen Elizabeth II, who for decades served as the Grand Master of the United Grand Lodge of England, the leading Masonic organization in the country. The Duke's role is not merely ceremonial. He acts as a direct link between the monarchy and Freemasonry, ensuring that this alliance remains strong. This raises a fundamental question. Why does the royal family, with all its power, maintain such a close connection with an organization that operates in the shadows? Freemasonry is known for its elaborate rituals, laden with esoteric symbolism and alchemical references. These rituals, often conducted in absolute secrecy, aim to achieve spiritual enlightenment and personal power. The connection with the monarchy suggests that such practices may have been incorporated into the royal ceremonial itself. Could it be that the coronation, with its profound symbolism, carries influences from these Masonic rituals? Masonic symbolism is deeply embedded in royal architecture and artifacts. Westminster Abbey itself, the site of coronations and historic royal events, is rich in references to sacred geometry, a cornerstone of Freemasonry. Is it a coincidence that England's most important structures share elements with Masonic temples, or does this reflect a deliberate influence? Furthermore, Freemasonry played a crucial role in the expansion of the British Empire. At the height of colonialism, British officials used Masonic networks to establish connections in foreign territories. The monarchy, as the symbol of the empire, inevitably benefited from these networks. This suggests that the connection between Freemasonry and the crown was not only spiritual but also strategic. Masonic rituals, such as the initiation ceremony, are based on themes of death and rebirth, a cycle that, according to tradition, leads to enlightenment. This concept echoes in the very history of the monarchy, which is constantly reborn through successions and carefully planned traditions. The Masonic influence can, therefore, be seen not merely as an isolated practice but as part of a larger system that ensures the monarchy's continuity. One point of interest is the oath of secrecy taken by Freemasons. This unwavering commitment to secrecy is also a hallmark of the British monarchy, which keeps many of its internal processes hidden from public view. Is this similarity mere coincidence, or does it reveal an intersection of values and practices? The degrees of Freemasonry, which symbolize different stages of spiritual progress, also raise questions about hierarchy within the monarchy. Have Masonic rituals been adapted to the royal family's internal processes? After all, the monarchy has always been structured hierarchically, with each member playing a specific and often ritualistic role. The alliance between Freemasonry and the monarchy is also reflected in the selection of certain royal members to participate in Masonic events. These gatherings, held in secrecy, often involve discussions on global issues, reinforcing the idea that Freemasonry's influence extends far beyond spirituality, reaching political and economic spheres. This connection, however, has not been free of controversy. During the 18th and 19th centuries, Accusations arose that Freemasonry manipulated governments and played a hidden role in revolutions and wars. How did the monarchy address these accusations? Was the connection with Freemasonry a calculated risk to maintain control during uncertain times? Masonic influence can even be seen in the British legal system. Many judges, lawyers, and government officials have been, and still are, members of Freemasonry. This subtle control over institutions raises questions about the extent to which the monarchy also benefits from this network. Could this be one of the reasons for preserving the alliance? Another fascinating aspect is the shared use of symbols between Freemasonry and the monarchy. The all-seeing eye, the pyramid, and the compass are often associated with Freemasonry, but references to these symbols can also be found in royal objects and decorations. This suggests an integration of beliefs and practices that transcend the visible. One of the greatest mysteries is the relationship between Freemasonry and royal succession. Rumors suggest that certain Masonic rituals have been conducted to ensure the legitimacy of successors to the throne. Although there is no concrete evidence, these stories fuel the idea that Freemasonry is more than a parallel organization. It may be an invisible pillar of the monarchy. In the end, the connection between Freemasonry and the monarchy is a clear example of how power and spirituality are intertwined. This relationship has shaped the history of the United Kingdom, influencing decisions with global impact. But is this connection merely a remnant of the past, or does it still play a central role behind the scenes of power? The British monarchy is, above all, an institution of tradition. However, many of these traditions are laden with esoteric and spiritual symbolism that goes far beyond mere formalities. The coronation ceremony itself is a prime example. Held at Westminster Abbey, this event is not merely an act of political transition, but also a deeply symbolic ritual rooted in ancient practices. The use of sacred oils to anoint the monarch, for instance, echoes religious practices dating back to antiquity, particularly in Hebrew and Egyptian cultures. The anointing with oil, often described as a divine act, is rich in spiritual symbolism. In the case of the British coronation, this practice reflects the belief that the monarch is chosen by God to rule. However, esoteric scholars argue that the ritual also contains Kabbalistic elements, suggesting that the coronation process is, in fact, a channel for higher energies. But why are such specific practices still preserved in an increasingly secular world? Another intriguing element of the coronation is the Stone of Destiny, or Stone of Scone, used as the base for the royal throne during the ceremony. This stone, steeped in centuries of history, is associated with Celtic legends and sacred symbolism. Many believe it was used in Druidic rituals and that its presence in the coronation is more than symbolic. It is a spiritually charged artifact intended to channel divine power to the new sovereign. Beyond the coronation, other royal rituals also exhibit ties to esoteric traditions. A fascinating example is the use of sacred geometry in the architecture of royal palaces and ceremonial sites. Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, and Westminster Abbey itself were designed based on mathematical proportions linked to sacred geometry, a common practice in the construction of ancient temples. Are these alignments merely architectural coincidences, or do they indicate an intent to create energetically potent spaces? The symbols found in royal coats of arms also carry hidden meanings. The lion, for example, is a universal emblem of strength and royalty, but in alchemical traditions, it also represents spiritual transformation and the pursuit of the philosopher's gold. The unicorn, on the other hand, symbolizes purity and spiritual power. These symbols, which might seem like simple heraldic elements, actually possess deeper meanings, reflecting the balance between material and spiritual power that the monarchy seeks to represent. The liturgy of royal ceremonies is similarly infused with symbolism that transcends the obvious. The music chosen, the arrangement of participants, and even the words spoken by religious leaders follow patterns resonating with esoteric practices. The use of Latin, a language considered sacred in various mystical traditions, is a detail that reinforces the spiritual connection of these ceremonies. Are we witnessing mere tradition or something more deliberate? Royal castles and palaces also play a central role in the mysteries of symbolism. Many of these sites, such as Balmoral in Scotland, are surrounded by legends of spiritual practices and secret gatherings. Balmoral, in particular, is rumored to host Druidic rituals conducted in the forests surrounding the estate. What could justify the choice of such remote locations for private meetings? Some scholars suggest that these castles are strategically located on points of high geographic energy, known as ley lines. These lines, supposedly connected to ancient sacred sites, are considered the Earth's energy veins. If true, the placement of royal palaces would not be coincidental but rather a deliberate choice to amplify the monarchy's spiritual power. The architectural alignment of London also raises intriguing questions. Sites such as Buckingham Palace, Trafalgar Square, and Parliament are arranged in patterns that, according to some theories, form a hidden geometric design. These layouts are believed to have been planned based on esoteric concepts, with the aim of creating an energy network to support the monarchy and the political order of the United Kingdom. The most secretive rituals of the monarchy, however, remain a mystery. While much of what occurs in public events is carefully choreographed, rumors persist about certain practices conducted exclusively for a select group. These rituals, according to some, are rooted in alchemical and magical traditions, with the goal of achieving a balance between the physical and spiritual. Another noteworthy element is the use of crown jewels in royal ceremonies. Beyond symbolizing wealth and power, these items are imbued with spiritual symbolism. The royal scepter, for instance, represents control over the physical and spiritual worlds, while the crown is often associated with divine enlightenment. Are these jewels merely ornamental, or are they sacred artifacts used to channel energy? Finally, the esoteric legacy of the monarchy is also evident in the selection of dates for important events. Many of these coincide with solstices, equinoxes, or other astrologically significant dates. Is this merely a matter of calendar convenience, or a deliberate attempt to synchronize the monarchy's energy with universal cycles? Royal symbolism is not just a relic of the past, but an active element that continues to define the monarchy in the present. How do these traditions shape public and internal perceptions of royalty? And, more importantly, to what extent do they influence the institution's decisions and survival? Among the many legends surrounding the British monarchy, the rumors of secret rituals conducted by members of the royal family are some of the most fascinating and unsettling. These accounts often involve practices that go beyond traditional Christianity and delve into ancient beliefs, such as Druidism, paganism, and even modern occultism. While many of these stories are difficult to verify, the details shared by insiders and researchers point to the possibility that such practices are real and still conducted in secrecy. One of the locations most associated with these stories is Balmoral Castle in Scotland. Situated in an area surrounded by dense forests and isolated hills, Balmoral has been the subject of theories suggesting it is used for secret royal gatherings. Some of these meetings, according to rumors, involve rituals inspired by the Druidic traditions of ancient Scotland. These stories claim that the woods around the castle have been used for ceremonies invoking the forces of nature, a practice dating back to Celtic peoples. If true, these Druidic rituals would not merely be acts of nature worship, but also ceremonies for channeling energy. In esoteric thought, certain locations are believed to possess concentrated spiritual energy, and Scotland, with its legends of fairies, magic, and ancient stone circles, is considered one such place. Balmoral, positioned in a region of high mystical activity, would be ideal for such practices. But why would the monarchy need such rituals in the 21st century? Rumors of secret rituals are not confined to Balmoral. There are accounts of ceremonies conducted in other castles and palaces, often involving closed groups of elites. During these occasions, theorists claim, the purpose might be to establish spiritual or even political connections, using symbolism that transcends public understanding. Are these gatherings merely exclusive social events, or is there something far deeper at play? The monarchy's interest in spiritual practices is not new. Throughout history, kings and queens have been drawn to esoteric advisors, alchemists, and occultists. However, modern rumors suggest that these practices have evolved, adapting to contemporary contexts. Instead of traditional alchemy, there might be a focus on modern spiritual practices, such as group meditations, advanced astrology, and even attempts at global energy manipulation. Some of these stories are fueled by statements from individuals close to the royal family. There are accounts from former staff members at Buckingham Palace who claim to have witnessed strange events on certain occasions. These accounts describe closed-door meetings where only selected participants had access. What truly happens in these gatherings? Are they discussing political matters or spiritual ones? Beyond spiritual practices, there are rumors that the monarchy engages in ritualistic symbolism during public events. One frequently cited example is the Trooping the Color Parade, held annually to celebrate the monarch's official birthday. While the event is widely seen as a military ceremony, some theorists suggest that its perfect choreography, flags, and symbols may carry hidden meanings connected to esoteric traditions. Another point of curiosity is the monarchy's relationship with sacred relics. There are stories suggesting that certain artifacts, such as the aforementioned Stone of Destiny, are considered more than just symbols. They are believed to be spiritual tools used in rituals of power. These artifacts, when employed in specific ceremonies, are said to amplify the participants' spiritual energy, connecting them to greater forces. The most unsettling rumors, however, involve the idea of symbolic sacrifice. While there is no concrete evidence, some theories suggest that certain rituals conducted during crises could include symbolic acts intended to protect or strengthen the monarchy. These stories, often dismissed as conspiracies, persist because they are repeatedly mentioned by various sources over the years. Before her death, Princess Diana is said to have expressed concerns about strange practices within the royal family. In private interviews and letters, Diana mentioned dark forces and described an environment where certain events were handled with an unsettling level of secrecy. These statements have fueled speculation that Diana may have uncovered something that placed her in danger. Another aspect that reinforces these rumors is the monarchy's relationship with secret societies such as the Illuminati and the Bilderberg Group. Closed-door meetings with global leaders and financial elites often lead to theories that major decisions are made in secret circles, with royal participation. Are these gatherings merely strategic, or do they also have a spiritual dimension? Additionally, ties to Freemasonry strengthen the idea that the monarchy participates in ceremonies combining spiritual and political elements. Freemasonry, with its symbolic rituals and hidden hierarchies, serves as a bridge between temporal and esoteric power. The presence of royal family members in prominent Masonic positions raises questions about the extent of this influence on royal decisions. Despite all this, some view these rumors as exaggerations or misinterpretations of ancient traditions. Yet the persistence of these stories suggests that something deeper may be at play. If there are no secret rituals, why do so many people, at different points in history, insist on mentioning occult practices linked to the royals? These rumors, even if unproven, play a significant role in how the public perceives the monarchy. They create an aura of mystery that, for many, is both fascinating and terrifying. What truly happens behind the closed doors of royal palaces? Princess Diana's death was not merely a personal tragedy or a global scandal. For many, it was the culmination of a sequence of events that exposed cracks in the immaculate facade of the British monarchy. In her life and in her defiance of traditions, Diana seemed to embody a threat to the established order. Her quest for spiritual answers and growing independence not only set her apart as a public figure, but also placed her on a collision course with secrets that, for the monarchy, could never come to light. Diana was always seen as an enigmatic figure within the royal family. While many members of the monarchy kept their private lives away from public scrutiny, she chose a different path. She frequently shared her thoughts, fears, and even spiritual experiences. In her final years, Diana began exploring alternative therapies, astrology, and other spiritual practices that increasingly distanced her from the rigid traditions of the royal family. This led to speculation that she might have been uncovering hidden truths that the monarchy preferred to keep in the shadows. Rumors of dark forces within the monarchy began circulating due to Diana's own statements. In a famous letter written shortly before her death, Diana expressed fears for her life, stating that she believed the royal family was planning a car accident to eliminate her. This letter, along with her previous comments about the hostile environment she faced, became central to theories suggesting her death was no accident but a carefully orchestrated event. One of the most controversial aspects of Diana's life was her relationship with Dodi Al-Fayed, a Muslim of Egyptian descent. The union between the mother of the future King of England and a man outside the European aristocratic circle was seen as a threat to tradition. Additionally, rumors suggested that Diana and Dodi were planning to announce an engagement. For the monarchy, this could have been the final blow to its carefully constructed image as the guardian of traditional values. Dodi, in turn, had connections that fueled further theories. His family, particularly his father, Mohammed Al-Fayed, was known for ties to global elites and controversial business dealings. This association with international power raised suspicions that Diana's relationship might not have been merely personal but could have exposed political and spiritual alliances involving the royal family. Another crucial aspect that cannot be ignored is the location of Diana's death: the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris. This site holds little known but profound spiritual significance. In ancient times, it was a sacred space dedicated to the goddess Diana, the huntress. This detail led some researchers to speculate that the accident was not just a calculated event but also carried ritualistic meaning. The tunnel, with its golden flame and strategic location, became a symbol of both physical and spiritual transition. Was it mere coincidence that the people's princess, whose name evokes an ancient goddess, met her death in such a symbolically charged location? Many believe it was not. Theorists suggest that the choice of location was deliberate, not only to stage an accident but also to send a silent message about the power operating behind the scenes. Diana's relationship with spirituality also plays a significant role in this narrative. She often expressed her search for something greater, mentioning in interviews and private conversations that she felt a connection to higher forces. This search, however, led her to question the practices and rituals she witnessed within the royal family. During visits to Balmoral Castle, Diana is said to have felt uneasy about certain traditions that seemed to transcend Christianity's domain. These experiences distanced her even further from the royal family while heightening her curiosity about what truly occurred behind closed doors. Diana's transparency and desire to share her discoveries made her a direct threat to the institution. If she had revealed what she knew, it could have profoundly shaken the public image of the monarchy and raised questions about its legitimacy. Another point reinforcing theories about Diana's death is the suspicious behavior of authorities following the accident. From the hasty removal of her body to inconsistencies in the accounts of the events, many believe there was a coordinated effort to cover up what really happened that night. Why were such urgent decisions made? What exactly needed to be hidden? Additionally, Diana's connection to humanitarian causes unsettled powerful entities. Her campaign against landmines, for instance, challenged the economic and political interests of major corporations and governments. Could this also have been a factor in her elimination? Or was the real motive deeply rooted in the spiritual secrets she threatened to expose? Diana was not just a public figure. She was a woman challenging the system, a mother determined to protect her children, and above all, a voice refusing to be silenced. To those who saw her independence and curiosity as a threat, Diana represented a risk that needed to be controlled. Her death, therefore, cannot be viewed in isolation. It is part of a larger picture involving tradition, power, spirituality, and an unrelenting desire to preserve secrets. If Diana truly knew more than she should have, the question remains, what exactly did she discover? Princess Diana's death transcends tragedy and becomes a symbol of how secrets can shape, and sometimes destroy, lives. From her spiritual connections to her role as a challenger of traditions, Diana represented something the British monarchy could not control: the truth. Her curiosity and courage put her on a collision course with a system that has shielded itself under the veil of mystery for centuries. Perhaps it was this boldness that sealed her fate. If Diana was indeed eliminated for threatening to expose the monarchy's secrets, then her story leaves us with an even more unsettling question. How far do hidden powers go to preserve their traditions? The mysteries surrounding the monarchy remain alive, defying understanding and fueling speculations that may never be fully clarified. If you're interested in exploring more about spirituality, I've selected some videos filled with profound insights and fascinating discoveries that you'll love. Just click on one of them. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of self-discovery and spiritual learning. Your commitment to knowledge is the first step toward transforming your reality.